AfterBuzz TV, starting place to the likes of WWE female superstars Kathy Kelly, Sonya Deville, and Zelina Vega proudly presents Women's Wrestling Weekly, the world's first podcast and YouTube series dedicated exclusively to women's wrestling, featuring all the latest news as well as interviews with top superstars in the industry. And now, AfterBuzz TV's own gorgeous lady of wrestling, TK Trinidad.
Bonjour, you're watching Women's Wrestling Weekly, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. My name is TK Trinidad, aka the Canadian Assassin, and I am not alone. She hails from the Valley. I think it's like, has it been almost a year? I don't know. Time is just...
I know, it's almost been a year. In August, September will be a year.
It's almost been a year.
Crazy.
So she hails from the Valley. She is the farmer's daughter. Please welcome Emily Mae.
Hi, everyone. Excited to be here again for another week.
Hey, obviously, I know, another week, we're safe, that's good.
Yes.
So we have news, we have Star of the Week, we have all that good stuff, but we know you're not here just to see us, you are definitely here to see all our amazing guests, and today's guest is no exception. You've seen her on Impact, you've seen her on WOW, she's the quintessential diva. Please welcome Gisele Shaw.
Hi guys, how's it going?
Thank you. You are hailing all the way from Wales, so the time difference is kind of crazy, so we definitely appreciate you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
So kind of let's get into it. You debuted in 2015. How did you get started in wrestling?
So I've always loved wrestling, watched it growing up with my family. So it has definitely played a lot for my passion in wrestling. But I turned 18, got a normal job, and I never thought that becoming a wrestler was a possibility because, growing up, I looked at these superstars, and this was something that, it just didn't seem like it was attainable. Right. And one day, I was seeing this guy, and we went to the gym, and his friends were professional wrestlers, and they invited us, to the show, and they just said, "Hey, do you guys want, or do you want to come to the show? It's wrestling." And so I asked, I was like, "What kind of wrestling? Like, is this like Olympic wrestling, or is this like WWE kind of wrestling?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, like WWE style." Mm-hmm. And I was like, "Oh my God, like I love pro wrestling. So definitely I'd love to come, watch the show." Just fell in love with it. And I asked them, I approached them, and I was like, "Hey, I really want to become a wrestler. How do I go about this?" And they suggested, looking up schools, and I found Landstorm Wrestling Academy, and it just the past 5 years has been crazy.
Yeah, Landstorm is a really well-known trainer. What were you going to say, Emily?
Yeah, what was that moment? So you start training, right? What was that first moment when you walked in and you're like, "All right, I'm going to try this"? Did you have a background in that type of athletic kind of sport?
Well, so when I was in high school, I used to figure skate, do a little bit of gymnastics, but maybe 3 months of amateur wrestling. And then I thought to myself, I was like, I don't know, this is just not for me. I want WWE style of wrestling. I don't really like Olympic wrestling per se. But going into my first day training, I saw, Lance Storm, and I watched him growing up. So it was pretty surreal coming in, wanting pretty much step one to achieving my dream of becoming a pro wrestler. So it was exciting and nerve-wracking at the same time.
So describe that first bump that you took. What was that like?
It was awful. Body, body pain wise. So I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." I was taught not to hold your breath so you're not winded. Mm-hmm. But it was just, it took time for me to actually learn how to bump.
And now when you were watching wrestling, like as you were a child, was there, other than Lance Storm, was there other folks, maybe like female wrestlers that you kind of looked up to as far as style wise?
Oh, most definitely. So I loved Trish Stratus. You know, Trish Stratus was such an inspiration to me, you know, growing up. Like she really just exemplified, you know, like you can be beautiful, you can be smart, you can be confident, you can be anything and everything, you know, like the whole package. Not just like oh, look at me, like I can like a pair of boobs or something. I don't know, you know what I mean? Like she was able to do yeah, sorry. She was able to do everything. So that really was inspiring to me. But obviously, you know, growing up, I've like The Undertaker, Stone Cold, The Rock, Triple H, you know, the Hardy Boys. And, you know, I think when I went to Japan, like my first tour, like Will Ospreay, I just like that's where my high flying, like you know, my inspiration came from, in a way, and like Marufuji, obviously.
And now, so I've been like looking at your stuff, and it like, you know, I see some videos you're in, like you say you're in Wales now, but you were in America obviously for a while. I saw you did like a Canadian tour, and you're overseas. Where
Yes.
where were you born? Because like I'm trying to I'm like everywhere, but trying to see where the background is.
So I was born in the Philippines, and then
Okay.
my family immigrated to Canada,
Okay.
in Northwest Territories, and like it's very far north, you know, it gets to
Yeah.
like minus 40, minus 50, and it's like normal, you know, they still send you to school. And my mom and dad's like, nah, you're not going to school. It's super cold outside. Yeah, so staying home.
Wait, so I'm from Toronto, so I'm very familiar with Canada and Northwest Territories. Why did they decide to go there? Was there like a reason for that?
So we already have family in Northwest Territories.
Okay.
So yeah, so you know, my dad just said, okay, let's all, you know, just gather everyone there and then see you know, where we go, and you know, hopefully
Okay.
my kids have a bright future.
Okay, you're like the first person,
Yeah.
even being from Canada, I met from who's lived in the Northwest Territories. So kudos
Oh,
to you on that.
Thank you. I mean, when I was 18, I couldn't wait to get out of there. So
Yeah,
I love it. I don't mean that in a bad way, but
You wanted some warmth.
exactly.
So you've traveled all over the world and have worked with so many promotions. Is there a place that you love to work and visit? And did you have a favorite promotion so far that you've been a part of?
Oh, I mean, there's so many to choose from, you know, I don't want to say like I have favorites, but you know, definitely have like moments and stuff that I've really enjoyed. And I feel like every promotion that I've worked for, like I've learned from, you know, that experience. So it's just, to me, like I look at it as like a learning curve in a way, and just to grow more from like every match and every promotion, you know, and like not every promotion is going to be the same. So you know, you just kind of have to have fun and, you know, try and wrestle.
So let's talk about WOW. So we've had a lot of WOW wrestlers on the show. Absolutely love WOW. Got to see it live. What was your experience like? How did that start for you?
So I was wrestling Tessa for Impact, and you know, like we just blended really well. And you know, she messaged like, hey, like I have like this character that may be really good for you. So you know, like you'll get like a message pretty soon, and then like we'll go from there. I said, yeah, sure. And then they got a hold of me, and you know, they said, okay, let's go. Like we're gonna fly you in and all this stuff. Got there. It was such a cool experience. Like I love working for WOW. And like I don't know, like if you've seen like the first season and then the second season, I have a different character. So yeah, so the first character that I had there in for season 1, it was pretty much just kind of like an intro to me, but then kind of just like, oh, we needed somebody under a mask. So
Right.
yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, because they had another wrestler there that would portray, you know, two different characters but the same person. But I guess the network didn't want her playing two characters on the same show. So they were
Right.
just like, okay, well, we need somebody who can, you know, do a little bit of high flying. So I was like, oh, okay, like I guess like then. So they said, okay, go, like that's you. And like myself, rather than portray somebody else that like is not close to like who I am as a person.
Mhm. And
Yeah.
that locker room is really stacked, and obviously the trainers with Tessa's there as well. So
Mhm.
what did you take away from like being in? Because I think it's like a couple weeks that you guys are there training before you even film. What did you take away as far as advice or
Mhm.
lessons from that experience?
It's so much fun. Like, you know, the women have such like solidarity. You know, like when I was there, like, everybody just seemed like they were very supportive of each other. I really loved that in the locker room. You know, it's when I first got the opportunity, you know, I've mentioned to some people that I said, hey, like it's gonna be a locker room full of girls and it's gonna be amazing. And you know,
Hmm.
I've gotten like great feedbacks, and then some of them like not so much. You know, when they're like, oh, like a locker room full of women, like everyone's gonna be catty. But you know, I think everybody was just really excited for everyone, and everybody just wanted to for everyone to succeed, you know, as we wanted to grow and succeed as a team, like as a brand, rather than, you know, every woman for herself.
Emily?
Yeah, so you talked a little bit about having those two different types of characters on season one and season two. What was that transition and creative process like as you moved from one to the other?
um so so the second character that I had there, I almost came across as like this um beauty queen, you know, like Miss Universe type of wrestler, which was again like I think it was really far fetched from who I am, you know, because like I love like the girly stuff, but I've never thought of myself as like, oh, hello, like everyone. But so yeah, so I had like this crown with these feathers, and like, you know, it was like this long trail. Like
Yeah.
it was such a production. Like it was fun. Like I had fun with it. But
Hmm.
you know, I just felt like okay, like still wrestle like as like Gisele Shaw, but kind of this little bit of flavor, if that makes sense.
And now tell us about your experience in Impact, another great promotion. I mean, amazing characters. I fell in love with Impact years ago. They have amazing storylines. Tell us about your experience there.
It was a great experience. I never would have thought that, you know, I moved to Toronto, I think it was a couple of years ago, and it was pretty much just like, you know what, like if I want to succeed in my career and try to get somewhere, I need to go to a bigger market. And I didn't think that the opportunity would come so fast.
Right.
So yeah, I moved to Toronto, and I think it was like a couple months like being around in the scene, and then, you know, they called in and they said, hey, we want to, you know, bring you in and like see what you can do. And I think I've had about like 3 or 4 opportunities. So it's pretty cool. You know, for me, whenever I get an opportunity like that, or any kind of opportunity, I just make the most of it, because you know, it's like people can read like your resume online, but
Right.
you know, like resume versus like can you deliver type of deal. So, you know, I just make the most of it.
And now tell us, so you're mixed with Filipino and Spanish descent, correct?
Yes. So I am
So,
Spanish and Filipino.
so has there been any issues as far as people putting stereotypes on you with your wrestling career, or have people just kind of let you be, you know, who you are?
I mean, when I first started wrestling, people have come to me and said, "Hey, like maybe you should, be the like Filipino character." And I mean, like I feel like it's such a like a stereotype almost that it's like, oh yeah, like because I'm Filipino, I guess I have to play that card. Like I can, it's like, well, I can be something else.
Right.
I can, have a different character, per se. Like just because you're this type or whatever doesn't mean that you have to play that.
Right.
Yeah. I mean,
so
yeah, it's so right now, as all of us know, the wrestling world is kind of going through a movement right now. A lot of people are speaking out against harassment and stuff. And so how are you handling this as a woman in the industry, and where do you see kind of the industry moving forward from this?
I mean, I think this happening right now is probably the best time to happen, so that when we do come back to wrestling, we would have, gotten rid of the people that don't need to be there. And now right now, like we're not wrestling. So I'm sure like there's people out there that are trying to create a much better and safer environment for not only the women, but for also the men in the industry. So I'm pretty happy that this has happened. It definitely brings up a lot of memories and not so great moments in wrestling, but better now that it happened now than later.
And then you did a WWE tryout. How was that? We've had a couple of people who kind of talked about the tryout and how grueling it was. What was your experience?
So I've actually had 2 tryouts. So the first tryout, well, yeah, yay,
awesome.
So the first tryout was in Orlando, and that one again, like I felt like I was so like fast tracked. I think I was like a month and a half into my training.
Oh, wow.
I get so I get the email from WB and they're like, "Hey, we would like to give you an opportunity to come down and show us what you can do." So I was like, am I gonna be ready? Like, is this like, this is what I want? So like Lance was there as well. Like he knew all about it. So after like the class was done, like we were pretty hush hush about it because obviously like I just wanted to focus on the training and make sure that I'm doing it properly. And so when I do go down at the PC, like I'm ready.
Right.
Yeah. So the first one was like, it was tough. It was super, super tough. But I try to maintain focus. Met a lot of good people there, and I felt like that first tryout was like I took a lot from it, and it made me even more prepared and ready for my second tryout. And my second tryout was last year, and it was an all women's tryout here in the UK. So it was an experience. It was great. It's nice to it's cool in a way that I was able to have a tryout in Orlando at the US PC and then at the UK PC, and just to see like the difference as well.
So now, what's the game plan? What do you like? I mean, you've kind of touched you've been on the indie circuit. You've done a lot in 5 years, mind you. So kudos to you for kind of pushing through. But what do you hope is going to be the next 5 years of your career?
I definitely would like to be, working for the major companies. I mean, being a wrestler, you don't go into being a wrestler and just say, you know what, I think I'm just gonna wrestle like for fun, like a superstar in a way, and end up in one of these promotions. But I feel like when it's my time, it's my time. I feel like if I keep worrying about it, and it's gonna almost stop me from being focused on my goal. So if I just work, every single day, just keep bettering myself, then, I'll be ready for when that opportunity comes.
Yeah. I think
Sounds good.
kind of thinking of the future, if you could have a dream match with anyone, who would it be? You could have multiple people, but is there anyone in mind that you would want to have that match with?
Definitely. I mean, I have multiple, but I've I definitely would probably, fail four-way, Trish Stratus, Charlotte, Sasha Banks, Becky Lynch. Hey. But I think that'd be pretty cool. But I think one of matches that I would definitely would love to have is against Will Ospreay as well. I think that's such a huge mountain to climb, and I think I'm up for the challenge. So.
And now, women's wrestling has come a long way, even into like the last 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Who is on your Mount Rushmore as for women's wrestlers?
I mean, I'd say the 4 horsewomen. I think that would be my, like, right now, of course. If you had said golden era, then like I would say Trish Stratus, and yeah, obviously. But right now, definitely the 4 horsewomen, solidified that women's wrestling is here to stay, and it's not just women's wrestling, like, we want it to be just, hey, like, what, that was wrestling.
Right. A wrestler who happens to be a woman. No.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like, I feel like you should be judged by your wrestling ability, rather than just being like, oh, well, you know what, like, that was good for a women's match. It's like, oh, cool, well, that was pretty okay too for a man's match.
Do you have any advice for aspiring young wrestlers that want to get into the business? What's some advice for them as they're just starting out?
It's a pretty loaded question right there. Give me 2 seconds. I would say, like, when I started wrestling, I've always had this thought that I'm like, what, like, WWE is my main goal, and I'm going to be there. And Lance has told me as well that making it in this business is pretty minuscule, so you cannot also want to be realistic with it.
Mm-hmm.
But with determination and hard work, like, you can achieve anything. Like, if you have the work ethic, then, like, go for it. Like, obviously people have natural talent and then maybe lack that work ethic, right? But if you have that work ethic and you keep pushing and pushing and pushing, like, you can just hone your craft. You can, hone your talent, and
right.
That's gonna shoot you like 10 steps forward. Like, I never would have thought that I would be able to travel so many places because of wrestling. And, I thought that it was just gonna be like, oh yeah, like, baby steps. But, with perseverance, just, like, you can achieve anything and everything.
So we are going to get into rapid hot tags, which means I'm going to ask you a few questions. You can say the first thing that comes on your mind.
Don't worry, they're not bad.
Yeah.
I watched this in an episode.
So nervous.
I watched this in an episode, and I was like, oh God, I'm like, if they ask me this, I'm going to be like, okay. So I don't want to say the wrong answer.
Okay, you'll be fine. So here we go. Always early or always late?
A queen is never late.
Last person you text?
My boyfriend.
What is the one thing you love about yourself?
My confidence and being friendly.
What celeb? If you could meet a celeb, who would it be?
If a what? Sorry.
If you could meet a celebrity, any type of celebrity, dead or alive, who would it be?
Mariah Carey, hands down.
Ooh, yeah, that's a good one. If you were a crayon, what color would you be?
Gold.
I like that one.
Yeah.
And last meal, like before you leave this earth, what meal would it be?
I would have to say all the menu at the Ivy in London.
Oh, yeah.
Like yes, like I went there for for like a dinner date with my boyfriend, and it was like everything just like melted in your mouth. So please, if you have the chance, eat there.
And if you can listen to one album for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Mariah Carey on repeat. I still do. I might as well just die with it.
I was gonna say, I think I know this answer.
Yeah.
See, no harm, no foul. We're good. You survived Rapid Hot Tags.
Yes. Thank you.
So we're gonna get into a bit of news. What do you have for us, Emily?
Yeah, so I know we mentioned it previously a little bit. So right now, as we all know, the wrestling world is kind of in disarray online. In the past week or so, there's been like dozens and dozens of allegations of harassment and sexual misconduct in the independent wrestling industry, as well as the professional wrestling industry. Kind of multiple schools, multiple individuals. And right now, there's been a lot of releases of talent in multiple, including WWE and AEW release talent. We had some Impact releases. So right now, it's all over social media, and there's like this frenzy right now to take action and to make a change. And I know tons of wrestling schools and organizations are kind of talking about it behind the scenes and trying to figure out what to do next, how to make the wrestling industry safer for everyone, and to kind of put some plan in place. And so there's a lot of work to be done and a lot of change to happen, but it looks like everyone is really is on board for it. So yeah, we're gonna make it happen.
Yeah, I think the great thing with, if you can say this, the great thing with COVID is that it slowed the world down a lot. That things that were happening behind the scenes, that you can no longer be distracted by television or sports or all this other stuff. Everything is shut down. So all the stuff that's been done in the dark to light. And we'll definitely see what's going to happen with these wrestling schools. So many wrestling schools are closing by itself just because they're not making money from COVID. So there's that aspect of it. And then, I've heard a lot of the, especially you're talking about the sexual harassment, which has been in the industry for, since the beginning of time. So I definitely hope that it's going to change. But I also believe that, when we had the ladies from K-Fab on the show, having women in positions of power too is going to make a difference, and having people of different ethnicities and nationalities in the positions of power is going to make a difference as well. So I really do hope it's going to see there is going to be a change, and I think if that happens, there'll definitely be a change in storyline where we can actually kind of get sink our teeth into really great storylines for different promotions, because some of the storylines are just like, oh, we're doing this again. Great.
So, I know. And that's part of what a lot of the conversation is surrounding, is because there aren't a lot of women and people of diversity in these higher creative positions that are making the writing calls and making the production calls, and making sure there's separate locker rooms and that there's safe spaces for training, and that nothing kind of happens outside of kind of this wrestling training. So there's a lot of conversations happening, and across the world, like the UK, it seems like it kind of started in the UK and then kind of moved over. And Gisele, did you have how was kind of your community taking it and handling everything?
I mean, it definitely started out here, that movement, and I just really hope that because this is getting such an attention right now, I really do hope that people are not just using this movement as personal vendetta, you know, for the personal gain, you know, because there are actually more important issues that, you know, need to be dealt with. So, like, this is not like, you know, like, we don't want to lose like the steam per se on this movement for, you know, someone else's pettiness, is what I can say about it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we don't need to add anything to the news. That itself has so many layers, and like I said, I really hope that, you know, it's going to change for the better, and we're gonna see, you know, great things happening in wrestling. So, you know, if you just look at the women's movement, you know, how we came from, you know, bra and panty matches to, you know, whole pay-per-views, you know, from indie all the way to, you know, professional, as far as, you know, just featuring women and main eventing as well. So there's so many different avenues. You know, we've come this far, so I can only, you know, I hope and I think it's gonna, you know, we're gonna see something different a year from now. So, you know, hopefully it all goes well.
Yeah, I think it's an opportunity to work and to change, and I'm working on some projects and stuff to help launch that. So it's a moment of change. So it's a good thing.
Now, Gisele, you're kind of hard to keep up with because you're so where, if people are not following you, where can they follow you?
Oh, so my Twitter and my Instagram is Gisele Shaw 08. And I have a Facebook page too, just Gisele Shaw. And yeah, if they want to keep up, that would be great.
And you also have an amazing website too, very clear. Like I feel like websites to me, websites is like the new business card. It was very clean. It was very, like, you know, straightforward. So tell people where they can get some merch and all that good stuff.
Thank you. So it is www.giseleshaw.com. And I have a lot of, you know, merch there that you can check out. And, you know, everything about it is my ideas. And it was a lot of effort and a lot of work, and I'm pretty proud that you know, like, the ideas came to fruition. So check it out.
Oh, that's amazing. I saw some of your new shirts that you were posting, and I love them.
Yeah, they are definitely cool.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Miss Emily, where can people find you?
Yes, you can find me on all social media platforms at Emily Mae Heller, and look for my platforms for some exciting announcements in the next few days.
Yep. And we'll also be posting all that on Women's Wrestling Weekly as well. Thank you guys for rocking with us. I think it's going on, I don't know, 150 episodes per year. I don't know. One day, it'll happen one day. Somebody can count the episodes for me. That really, just send it to my DM. That would be really appreciative. But thank you guys so much for rocking with us from the beginning. Some of you guys have been from the first show to now, and sending your comments, all that great stuff. Also, I just want to say thank you to, including yourself, Gisele, thank you to the wrestlers for coming on the show, because without you guys, we would just be a podcast talking about wrestling. No shade, but, you know, we're doing something a little different. So on YouTube, make sure you hit the subscribe button. If you're listening to us at any podcast platform, make sure you do 5 stars or better. And other than that, thank you guys again for supporting us. My name is TK Trinidad. You can find me on everything at TK Trinidad. Make sure you also follow AfterBuzz TV on all platforms, and also follow Women's Wrestling Weekly, WPW Weekly, on all social media platforms. Till then, thank you, Gisele, so much. Hope the best for your career. Like I said, if you've done this much in 5 years, you know, we have magic on this show. So we're gonna see a year from now, it's gonna be something a whole nother level. So definitely, you know, kudos to your work ethic. And
we'll,
you know,
definitely have to catch up.
Oh yeah, for sure. You are more than welcome. All you have to do is send us a DM, send me a text, and you are more than welcome.
You're a friend of the show now forever, so you can come on.
Yes, amazing. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you guys again for joining us. Till next time. Ciao.
Bye.
Our founder, Kevin Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.